What I love to do is introduce the right people to the right people.
I assemble the smartest people I can think of or reach out to carry that conversation, and that's exactly what I've done today.
Please give my panel a round of applause. Welcome.
Okay guys, Jay Martin here, CEO of Cambridge House, and I'm joined by Tara Christie, the President and CEO of Banyan Gold Corp. Tara, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm really good. And I'm looking forward to diving into this story because we haven't had you on the show yet. But I know some of your investors, which is always where I start. So to open this up, I hope what we could do today is introduce the Banyan Gold story to our subscribers and give them a thorough understanding at a high level about what you've done and what they can expect coming down the pipe. So where I like to begin is with management, and specifically management ownership and significant shareholders outside of that, so we can understand who made a bet before we did. And I'd love to hand it over to you to field that one.
Great. Well, I'm pretty significantly invested in Banyan. I'm about a 5% shareholder, which is pretty significant. And I was not the first CEO of this company. So I became the CEO in August of 2016. So I didn't get any founder stock. So my shareholding is primarily from investing in the market and purchasing in all the private placements, particularly since I've been CEO. I've participated in every financing that we've had. So I think that shows that my money's where my mouth is. The first 6 months of being CEO of Banyan, I actually didn't take salary because I really wanted to be aligned with my shareholders. And I think that is something that's really quite unique is our insider ownership. And then again, our big shareholders. We've got the two miners that are our neighbors, Alexco and Victoria. We option properties from them, but they also both invested equity in our financings and have participated in our financings, which really shows that they believe in not only our team, but also the properties that we have, and particularly the AurMac property, which they're both right near. And then Osisko Development. It was Osisko Royalties when they invested in 2019 in October, November. And that was when, I went to them and said we'd worked on the AurMac property, which we optioned in 2017. By 2019, we thought we really understood what was going on, but we needed the money to drill it, to put together that resource. So October, which is late in the season for a Yukon projects, we went and pitched to them on the technical merits. So they invested equity. They do not have a royalty to help us put together that resource.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, we're up right beside Victoria Gold, Canada's newest gold mine, about 40 kilometers away in the Yukon. And then I guess on the other side of you, or even closer, 10 kilometers away, is Alexco's silver mine. And yes. So they're the two largest shareholders you're referring to, in addition to Osisko. And I think I saw Sprott as well.
Yep, Sprott has about a 3% holding now, and that's in some of their funds.
Okay, so let's dive into these projects a little bit. I see two, AurMac, which seems to be the focus, Highland, which provides some optionality, but we should probably talk about AurMac because that's where you're getting busy. Is that correct? Absolutely.
We're focusing most of our exploration budget this year on AurMac, and of course that was our big success story last year. We committed to putting together a resource, and that came out in May of 2020. And I think we over-delivered on what we promised with that 900,000 ounces. Of course, it's very similar look to Victoria Gold. It could potentially be an open pit, heap leach mineable project, which of course with exceptional infrastructure and in a jurisdiction which is permittable is a pretty exciting thing. We spent all of 2020 working on expanding the two resource zones there. We have both the airstrip zone and then a kilometer to the south, the power line zone. And the results that we have back to date are showing that both of those, the mineralization is continuing well beyond what we've drilled. We've expanded the airstrip by 200 meters to the west and 125 meters to the south and down dip. Power line zone, which had a grade of 0.61. We had 129,000 ounces there, and it was a brand new discovery in the first phase of drilling in 2019. In the short course of that 1 year, already 129,000 ounces. And we've now extended that mineralization by 500 meters to the south. And then in the press release last week, we've now shown that there's continuous mineralization over 2.5 kilometers to the east, all the way to another zone that we call the Oryx Hill, where we know that there's similar gold mineralization. So, we've got tremendous targets for 2021.
Okay, now you surprised me when you said you were going to be able to begin drilling in Q1 of this year.
Q1, we're going to get drilling. We're already mobilizing and getting things organized for starting drilling.
Okay, because you have road access year round at your property.
Yeah, so we drilled to December 15th before we shut down for Christmas. And now people needed a break too this year. We could have continued with the way the weather was over the winter. This year was very mild, but with COVID and all the things that happened last year, everybody needed a bit of a break. So with year-round roads, government maintained highway goes right beside power line and airstrip, plus Victoria Gold's year-round road, cell phone access. We're pretty well positioned there for year-round drilling.
Yeah, the infrastructure is appealing. How much of that, Tara, is a consequence of having Victoria and Alexco? I mean, you're beside the highway, that's what it is. But how much of this infrastructure was built during Victoria Gold's mine production?
Well, that's a good point. We have to give credit for the new power line to Victoria Gold and Alexco, because without them being there, that line that goes to the hydroelectric dam probably wouldn't have been upgraded. It was partly also really well timed for economic stimulus this last year, but it's being energized here in January to replace the line. Plus, Victoria Gold's switching station is right beside our airstrip deposit. That was built because of Victoria Gold, as well as the drop-down line that goes to Victoria Gold. So that was there. The cell phone coverage, probably was a good part of with Alexco getting started there, on the highway and the community and seeing economic development. Certainly the maintenance and the amount of attention that the area gets for road maintenance is a good part.
No kidding. Okay, I'm with you. So we're going to be turning drills in Q1, again, I guess in a few weeks. That would make sense, right? When it comes to news flow, what can investors expect this year?
Well, we still haven't got all the results back. Labs are backed up, and we delivered the last samples December 15th. So it hasn't been that long since those samples have been in. So we will get results back. We got another 22 plus holes and soils that are still to come back from the lab. And so that'll be all through Q1 probably. I expect we'll start drilling before we get all our news flow. And then, we'll have results going through the year. So we are planning to work on our AurMac property, the airstrip, power line, and Oryx targets, as well as the Nitra property. This last year, we staked another area right up by AurMac that we think geologically looks very similar. We're going to do some trenching out there to start, and then some late season drilling if all goes well. And we do plan a small program out at our Highland project this year, which is down in southeast Yukon.
Okay. Now talk to me about operating in the Yukon a little bit, Tara, because we actually have a handful of companies I'm talking to this week: Western Copper and Gold, Victoria, Alexco, White Gold as well. And it's a very tight community, it seems. We've been running the shows forever, and the Yukon Pavilion is always a buzz at our conferences. So, there seems to be very strong support. So talk to me about the community and the engagements and how you guys interact.
Yeah, so, the Yukon Mining Alliance is an important part of working together in the Yukon to talk about mining companies. But, the relationships between companies are very solid. We tend to try and work together, share information.
I see a lot of board crossover.
There's a lot of board crossover. Yeah, you notice that. So, some of my favorite companies, I'm also on the board of a couple of them, which, I think I've been working in the Yukon since I was 8 was when I first came to the Yukon with my dad. And then, I ran a mining company. I've been a consultant in the Yukon. I've sat on the environmental assessment board. And all those skills, and being close-knit with the community is important in having good communication networks. Permitting is it's as important to have a good relationship with the community as it is to be technically correct in your permit. So I think that's what you really see in the Yukon Explorers is they've really got the environmental and the social part well integrated into what they do and how they operate, and that makes a key difference. And and then we communicate out kind of collectively through the YMA to make sure that message is heard.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Prior to Banyan, you were the president of Gimlex Gold Mines, right? Privately held company.
privately owned alluvial mining operation for quite a long time. And during that time period, I did consulting work. I worked up at Hope Bay for Newmont, did work for a bunch of other companies, worked for Kaminak, helped them with that, and certainly was part of seeing the whole story. And I think that what makes me well positioned to be the CEO of Banyan is I've been in those management positions. I've seen what it takes to take a project from exploration all the way through to development. And that's really important to have that experience and the strong connections in the Yukon to know how to make it happen from a permitting perspective, from a communicating with the community perspective. And that's what I think means we can start in Q1 here to get drilling is because we know how to operate in the north. And I've dealt with cold temperatures before, and we have all the infrastructure set up.
Right. So talk to me about that transition. Because you weren't the first CEO of Banyan, right?
No.
What attracted you to the project?
So I actually joined the board in 2011. When just after it IPO'd, and the Highland was the first asset that the company had.
That's right.
And then, I'd been on other junior public company boards since about 2006 when I joined my first public company board, but really was involved in the private space and other businesses. And then in 2016, of course, my consulting company, my major client was Kaminak, that got bought out by Gold Corp. I had been on the environmental assessment board for 12 years, and that is a tiring thing to do. So decided not to try to get my term renewed there. So all of a sudden, and we were interviewing as a board for CEOs of Banyan, and it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to step up and say, I can do this. I think I'm perfectly positioned to advance this. And, we had Highland, we took that and put together that almost, 500,000 ounce resource there, 0.85, which, in the Yukon, when Victoria Gold's grade is 0.63, life of mine grade,
that's good.
Both of our projects are comparable. And I didn't say that about AurMac, but if you look at the grade of AurMac, it's 0.54 is the current resource, and we are very confident we can both get the grade and the ounces up. If you were to increase the cutoff grade by 50% to 0.3, the grade goes down, or the grade goes up by 20% to 0.65, and the ounces go down by less than 15%. So that's comparable to 0.63 to our neighbor down the road, which was economic in 2018 to build that mine. So, and both of our projects road accessible, and that really is our forte. What I look for: road accessible, potential open pit heap leach mineable projects with on-surface deposits that have multi-million ounce potential. So you need the geology, the land package size. I think both of our projects have that, and I think that's what makes us really well positioned going into this gold market, which all this monetary policy and things that have been happening in the world have really, I think, poised people to start investing in things like gold. And we have two projects. We've got the one where we're advancing very quickly, and our goal is to get it to around where you can see that there's at least 2 million ounces there in the areas where we have the resources. Doesn't mean we'll have a resource by the end of this year, just to be clear of that, because we need an awful lot more drilling than we'll get done in one season. Okay. And then we got Highland, which is another option on the price of gold for us.
Okay, talk to me very quickly about your cash position, and do you expect to go back to the market to finance?
So we have 5.8 million when you count all of our cash and deposits for things. So that gets us all the way through this year and G&A. So we don't anticipate going to the market soon.
2021, yeah. Got it. Okay. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate this. I have a better understanding than I did 15 minutes ago. Thanks for your time. It was great to introduce the story to our audience and introduce you. This has been fun, and I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah, me too. It's always fun to talk about my favorite projects and Banyan. Hope people take the time to look us up and don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk to people about it.